Civil War and the Role of Technology by Ethan Fournier, Cole DePercio, Bob DeRosa, Emmanuel Dubofor, and Cam Bartlett. Railroads. During the Civil War, railroads became one of the most crucial tools for both the Union and the Confederacy. First built in the United States by 1827, railroads revolutionized transportation by providing a faster, more efficient means of moving troops, supplies, and equipment across vast distances. The strategic use of railroads allowed armies to mobilize soldiers quickly, ensuring reinforcements could reach battlefront in days rather than weeks. Additionally, essential supplies such as food, medical aid, and weapons could be transported more reliably, preventing shortages that could cripple military operations. Before railroads, armies relied on traditional methods such as horse-drawn wagons, which were slow, prone to delays and attack. Railroads overcame many of these obstacles, enabling large-scale movements of troops and resources with unprecedented speed and efficiency. The Union in particular had a specific advantage due to its extensive railway network and superior industrial capacity. The North had approximately 22,000 miles of track compared to the South's 9,000, allowing Union forces to outmaneuver and outsupply Confederate troops in key battles. The impact of railroads during the Civil War set a precedent for future conflicts. This innovation demonstrated the importance of transportation infrastructure in modern warfare, influencing military strategy in the years to come. By integrating railroads into their logistical planning, armies could maintain prolonged campaigns, reinforce troops effectively, and sustain the war efforts that were previously impossible. Telegraphs. Telegraphs played a crucial role during the Civil War, revolutionizing battlefield communication and giving a strategic advantage to the Union. Before the telegraph, military leaders relied on messengers on horseback or written dispatches carried by trains or wagons, which could take days to reach their destination. The introduction of a telegraph technology changed this entirely, allowing messages to be transmitted in seconds. This real-time communication enabled military leaders to coordinate attacks, adjust strategies, and manage supply lines with unprecedented efficiency. The Union capitalized on this innovation by laying over 15,000 miles of telegraph wire across the country. Lining key military and government locations, telegraph operators worked around the clock to relay orders and battlefield updates, ensuring commanders had up-to-date intelligence. Even President Abraham Lincoln recognized the power of the telegraph, frequently using it to communicate directly with his generals. From the War Department's telegraph office in Washington, D.C., Lincoln could oversee battles, offer immediate strategic input, and make critical wartime decisions without waiting for traditional messengers.
Before the Civil War, most soldiers relied on smooth-bore muskets, which had a maximum effective range of about 80 yards. These muskets were inaccurate over long distances, forcing armies to engage in close-range combat using tight formations. Soldiers had to stand in lines and fire in volleys in order to maximize their chances of hitting targets, a tactic which had been effective for centuries. However, the introduction of rifled muskets completely changed warfare. Rifled muskets featured grooved barrels that caused bullets to spin as they traveled, greatly increasing their accuracy and range. Soldiers armed with these weapons could hit targets from distances of up to 1,000 yards, which is over 10 times the effective range of smoothbore muskets. This innovation made traditional battlefield tactics obsolete, as standing in close formations became far more deadly. A key advancement that made rifled muskets even more effective was the development of the Minié ball in 1848. French officer Claude Minié designed a cone-shaped bullet that could be quickly loaded into rifled muskets. Unlike the round musket balls used previously, the Minié ball expanded when fired, grouping the grooves of the barrel and increasing the speed, range, and accuracy of each shot. This made rifled muskets far deadlier than their smoothbore predecessors. The widespread use of rifled muskets and repeating rifles during the Civil War marked a turning point in military history. It signaled the beginning of modern warfare where long-range engagements and rapid gunfire would dominate battlefields in years to come. Ironclads were revolutionary warships covered in iron armor, making them far more resistant to cannon fire than the traditional wooden ships that had been used for centuries. These heavily armored vessels played a crucial role in both Union and Confederate naval strategies during the Civil War, sparking a major shift in naval warfare. The Union, with its superior industrial capacity, built far more ironclads than the Confederacy, and used them effectively to control key rivers and enforce blockades on southern ports. By cutting off Confederate supply lines and preventing trade with foreign nations, these blockades would weaken the South's economy and war effort. One of the key figures in ironclad design was Captain James Wishanan Eads, who engineered many of the ironclad gunboats used in river battles. His innovative designs helped the Union secure major victories, including the capture of Fort Henry in 1862, where Union ironclads played a decisive role in bombarding Confederate defenses. One of the famous events in naval history occurred on March 9th, 1862, when the Union's USS Monitor and Confederacy's CSS Virginia clashed at the Battle of Hampton Roads in Virginia. This was the first battle between ironclad warships, demonstrating the superiority of armored vessels over wooden ones. The intense battle lasted hours, with neither side achieving clear victory. However, it quickly proved that ironclads were the future of naval warfare, rendering traditional wooden warships obsolete. Following this battle, both the Union and the Confederacy continued developing ironclad ships, but the Union's industrial advantage allowed it to produce more, securing control over valuable waterways. The widespread use of ironclads during the Civil War signaled a new era in naval combat, influencing warship designs well into the 20th century.
All right. All right. At the beginning of the Civil War, the U.S. Medical Department was unprepared for the overwhelming amount of casualties. There wasn't any organized systems for treating and evacuating wounded soldiers in battle. Even many of the military surgeons had little to no experience with gunshot wounds or a majority of the battlefield injuries. Here they introduced advancements in military medicine to help with this problem. The introduction of anesthesia and big improvements in surgical techniques at the time led to much higher survival rates throughout the war. Amputations also became popular with life-saving procedures, and then advancements in prosthetics were following. The creation of the Ambulance Corps. In August 1862, the Union developed a well-structured medical evacuation system. It used triage stations to sort wounded soldiers, ambulance wagons to help transport soldiers quicker, field and general hospitals were made to provide treatment, and finally, hospital trains and ships moved the severely injured troops. And here's a data collection. The Army Medical Museum was founded in 1862 to help in the collection of medical data, which led to long-term military healthcare improvements. Military balloons. The role of balloons in warfare. Both sides of the Civil War used hot air balloons, which would allow armies to gather information from over 1,000 feet above battlefields. Balloon operators during the war would use signal flags and telegraphs to communicate enemy movement to the troops on the ground. Impacts and challenges of military balloons. Despite the many advantages, there were several problems with the military balloons. A famous incident involved General Fitzjohn Porter, whose balloon broke loose and drifted over Confederate lines. The Union eventually disbanded the Balloon Corps in 1863, mainly due to high costs and other logistic challenges. The Union Balloon Corps was created and led by Thaddeus Lowe in 1861, who also had the support of President Abraham Lincoln. The largest Union balloons, the Intrepid and Union, could hold up to 32,000 cubic feet of hydrogen gas and could even carry multiple people at a time.
So now we have the Gatling gun. The Gatling gun was invented by Dr. Richard Jordan Gatling in 1961 and is widely regarded as one of the first true machine guns, representing a dramatic leap in the development of firearms and warfare technology. So unlike traditional single-barrel firearms, it was multi-barrel and it was a rapid-fire weapon, which it was capable of delivering devastating volumes of fire and paving the way for machine guns that would dominate warfare in the 20th century. So the Gatling gun consisted of a series of rotating barrels, which was usually 6 to 10 barrels, and it was mounted on a center shaft. The Gatling gun could fire up to 200 and sometimes 300 rounds per minute, which at the time was a remarkable rate compared to the older artillery they were using. The invention of the Gatling gun spurred further innovation in firearm technology. The Maxim gun, invented by Hiram Maxim in the 1800s, was the first truly fully automatic machine gun, which was inspired by the Gatling gun. And also the rapid-fire evolution of automatic weapons in the 19th and early 20th centuries could be traced back to the Gatling gun from Bren gun. Like, for example, the Bren gun M1 1911. So next up, we have the CSS Hunley, and what the CSS Hunley was a submarine that was built in Mobile, Alabama, by the Confederate engineer named Horace Lawson Hunley. And in 1864, after a series of unsuccessful missions and difficulties, the CSS Hunley had its first and only successful mission under the commands of George Dixon. The CSS Hunley is widely regarded as a precursor to modern submarines and is a key chapter in the history of naval warfare. Throughout the Hunley, although the Hunley itself did not achieve a significant operational success during war and was tragically lost after one use, it remained an important historical milestone, and its successful attack on the USS Housatonic demonstrated that the submarine warfare could be a viable form of naval combat. We also get to learn that in the Confederate Army commissioned the creation of the submarine, and it was operated to command stealthily beneath the waves, which circumventing the Union's ironclads and breaking the blockade. What followed was the development of one of the first combat-ready submarines, and this was the CSS Hunley. So next up, we're going to be talking about the field artillery advancements, and one key change was the rifle artillery, and what they did was they introduced spiral grooves to the inside of the barrel, which imparted the spin of the projectile. And what this did was it basically kept the bullet straighter, which made it much more accurate and capable of hitting targets at a greater distance. In addition to these advancements in the gun themselves, the Civil War saw dramatic improvements in these types of ammunition used. The evolution of projectiles from solid shot to explosive shells had a profound effect on the effectiveness of artillery, and it allowed it to cause significant damage not only to the personnel but also to fortresses and material targets. The mobility of artillery was a major factor in the changing tactics and strategies of the Civil War. The earlier wars, artillery was often a cumbersome and slow to move, limiting its effectiveness and forcing commanders to commit to special positions. Also, in contrast, the Civil War saw several key developments in the mobilization of artillery, allowing for more dynamic strategies and faster reflections during battle. So now what we're going to be talking about is the